That dramatic service improvement, again, happens because of the polling interval. In most network outages, there's some unknown period of time between, there's, something's wrong, but we haven't polled for it. With most tools, that's between really 0 and about 15 minutes between you when you have escalated a problem and said, yes, it is actually something that is broken. Usually a couple of samples have to miss before that's true. And then that identification process where you try to figure out, is it the router, is it the circuit, is it some routing protocol that's gone down. And then that isolation process of trying different actions to see if you can resolve the problem, generally starts at about an hour and takes hours to resolve. And then through that resolution process is generally hours to maybe days if you have to send somebody on site. But again, we'll focus around that SLA timer starting at about 15 minutes from the time the first packet drops to the time we start calling in a problem. So with Uplogix, again, our polling frequency is very often. So we're going to have that unknown period of time, generally less than a minute. And then because we're directly connected to each device, we can identify which ones are meeting or not meeting their SLA criteria very quickly. So we generally know in the first 30 seconds, which component is failing, and generally we could respond in that period of time, but we want to have a couple of different samples of that. So generally we call that isolation process of having multiple samples of that, having a consistent problem over time. And then we start to execute those resolution steps that we went through in the previous example, the no shutting of ports and the cycling of or clearing service modules and pulling the show tech actions. Those are the kind of things that we're doing, and we're doing it as often as pulling new data, determining that it's still a problem, and we haven't solved it yet, so we take the next triage action. Again, focused on reducing that time to respond, detect and respond to generally inside of the sampling window of most systems network systems management tools. So if we can find that problem, resolve it, even if we take broad, bold steps like power cycle, it gets the network back up and running, and often don't even take an SLA hit.